Hello, welcome to another episode of CoinBlog. I'm Charles, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the MultiVAC ICO. Yes, that's right, I've purchased a new microphone. It's taken me long enough, I guess, but there you go. And if you're new to my channel, I don't really want to go on about disclaimers and all that nonsense and how my graph works, so just read what's on the screen in front of you now. I'm not paid, sponsored, or affiliated with any of the ICOs discussed in this video. Everything I talk about to you today is just my own personal opinion. We're going to be looking at MultiVAC. So, what is MultiVAC? What are they all about? And why should you care? Well, MultiVAC wants to use sharding technology to create a high throughput public blockchain for decentralized applications with a focus on computation, storage, and transmission speeds. MultiVAC's value proposition actually rests on the needs and requirements of the developer. You see, developers can decide how many nodes are required for each dApp. Developers can increase or decrease the amount of nodes each dApp runs. More nodes equals better security. Less nodes means faster throughput times. And because MultiVAC is looking slightly lonely there on my chart, we can give it some friends. So all these ICOs, with the exception of GoChain, I have reviewed in my previous videos. I actually reviewed GoChain a while ago, but I never made a public video about it. And I'll be talking to you in a little while about these projects and how they contrast against MultiVAC by looking at their price histories. So we can see here that for the scoring with MultiVAC, I've been quite generous, and it's important to note that as regards to the token economics, I don't actually have any metrics or data for that. So I usually treat 5 out of 10 as kind of a placeholder for ICOs that don't have the token economics. All these other ICOs, when I scored them, they did have the token economics, but MultiVAC doesn't have the token economics. So the score for token economics, 5 out of 10, that's just a placeholder mark. That's not a real score. Everything else, however, is legit. So if we look at the hype, we can see that MultiVAC has actually been increasing over time with the hype. I've given it currently 6 to 6.5 out of 10. Associates and people connected to influencers in the cryptocurrency community have already taken interest in this project, ballooning demand among retail investors and first-time speculators. This essentially creates a knock-on effect for those that missed the boat with the recent QuarkChain, Icon, and Zilliqa ICOs. FOMO is a very powerful emotion, and it's no more powerful than in ICO investing. The MultiVAC project has over 20,000 users in its Telegram group, but it's listed only once on top 7 ICOs. I don't really want to go too deeply into the team because that's obviously very basic research and you can do that yourself. So MultiVAC's team include 5 PhDs with knowledge and insight across a wide variety of subjects, including statistics, finance, technology, and research. Former employers include Pinterest, Google, Goldman Sachs, Autodesk, and Alibaba. And the developer team consists of 13 full-time team members. The team's actually much wider than that. Most of the other members are part-timers. So for the team score with MultiVAC, as you can see, I gave it 8 out of 10. For the token economics score, as I said, I don't actually have the metrics, so please disregard the scoring for the token economics there. And now we come to the ICO category score. I didn't put any markings or data points on the graph today for this scoring because all these ICOs are operating in the same market niche, so you can't really compare them in that respect. They're all operating in the blockchain ICO market niche, P-Chain, Zilliqa, Icon, etc. So if you're familiar to the content of my channel, I'm sure you're very aware that I am extremely biased. I'm very biased when it comes to investing in blockchain specific ICOs. Blockchain niche ICOs done correctly can actually outperform bear markets. Look at QuarkChain, for example. The QuarkChain ICO outperformed the market under bearish cryptocurrency sentiment. Unmet demand and frenzied attention from influencers actually drove QuarkChain's token price to over 34 cents, making a cool 13x for investors before retracing to 6.5 cents and settling at 8 cents. The next ICO we have, which we can compare MultiVAC to, is the GoChain ICO. So despite the FUDing, despite the poor reviews, despite cryptocurrency influencers actually going against the GoChain ICO project, and despite GoChain actually having a longer than usual go-to-market strategy, GoChain actually did very well on the markets. It made a 4x in a very bearish market. So that is good news for GoChain, and I commend them for that. I even actually didn't think much of the project myself, but a 4x is really, really good in the current market. I think that's very commendable. Now, the P-Chain ICO also made investors a 4x, peaking at 21 cents immediately after its crowd sale, before quickly retracing back to its original ICO price. Then we have Zilliqa, which was launched at the end of 2017 and has consistently delivered positive returns for investors, making at least a 19x in real dollar terms. And finally, with a market capitalization of $500 million, the ICON ICO of September 2017 has been consistently highlighted in the portfolios of large institutional investors such as Pantera Capital, Hashed, Kinetic Capital, and other such firms, making investors in excess of a 10 ROI. So you're probably thinking, well, Charles, this is all very nice and well, but why are you talking about other projects? We only clicked on your video because we wanted to hear you talk about MultiVAC. When I invest in ICOs, the first thing I do isn't to go to their Telegram channel. It isn't to go to their white paper. And it isn't to speak to other people in the community that might know more than me. On the contrary, the first thing for me to do is to actually research ICOs that are operating in a similar market segment to MultiVAC, in this case, all the other ICOs you see before you. That gives me a very good grasp, a very good understanding on how MultiVAC's going to do when it hits the market. The main problem with that analysis is that I'm actually analyzing projects, ICOs, that came to market when Bitcoin's performance was doing very differently. So back in January, it was very bullish. In September, we had the China FUD, and it was obviously driven and determined by different dynamics. And now the market is completely different to what it was 1 year ago. So you do need to factor that into your assessment and analysis. But again, that's probably the best way for you to look at ICOs when it comes to reviewing them if you don't have the token economics. So now we get to the good stuff. Now we get to my favorite part of the video, where I talk to you about the positives and the negatives behind the MultiVAC ICO. So there's 5 things I really like about MultiVAC, and there's 5 things that actually go against the MultiVAC project. So let's begin by looking at the positives. 1. MultiVAC's consensus model uses verifiable random functions, where miners are dynamically selected via a probability model. In other words, it's more efficient than proof of work, proof of stake, or delegated proof of stake consensus mechanisms. So for that, I do like MultiVAC. The second thing I really like about the MultiVAC project is really what it's offering developers. MultiVAC offers developers a greater level of customization with sharding computation and gas fees set by the contract developers themselves, thereby providing a bigger array of use cases for the MultiVAC blockchain. 3. Roger Lim of Neo Global Capital is actually acting as an advisor to the project. TGL, Neo Global Capital, D-Fund, and Hashed are all partnered or invested with the MultiVAC project. It's important to note that high-profile investors are not a necessary condition for investment success, but they do lend some degree of credence. The fourth thing I like about the MultiVAC project is really the team. The team punch above their weight in terms of knowledge and prior experience and have an accomplished track record with leading firms. And the fifth and probably most important thing I like about the MultiVAC project is that it's actually creating a supply-side economic model in which nodes lead to an ever-increasing network effect and are not merely an appendage to it, thereby appealing to the developer community. You have to remember, more developers means more dApps. More dApps means more users means more money. I can't really say it any simpler than that. So now we come to the negatives. There's 5 things that really go against MultiVAC, in my opinion. 1. The name. It's generic and superficially sounding. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner. I'm sorry, but someone had to say it. 2. The target audience and the product offering. MultiVAC's target audience for dApps include multinationals and large-scale enterprises. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but you've got to remember one thing. These are big players in the technology space, and they need to see facts, they need to see statistics, and they need to see something tangible or some kind of product. And I'm not getting that when I look at MultiVAC. For me, it's a white paper idea. How are they going to onboard this user base, this large multinational professional business user base, without an MVP? The third thing I don't like about MultiVAC is really their narrative, their marketing narrative, and how it's being pitched to potential investors. Security, faster transaction times, and network scalability are the dominant narratives of blockchain niche ICO marketing campaigns. Creating an ICO that conveniently solves these issues through developers somehow magically tweaking the smart contract parameters just raises more questions than answers. 4, and this really did concern me, MultiVAC's admins were receptive and very accommodating to me when I reached out to them, but they failed to answer my questions. 2 of the questions I asked the MultiVAC admin include: A. MultiVAC's white paper discusses defense mechanisms to prevent collusion, that is a 51% attack. But what are the mechanisms for penalizing malicious nodes? And B. The verifiable random function algorithm, which was actually used by the Algorand ICO, which I reviewed a few weeks back, stores a minimum amount of private information, including the user's private key, which you don't want to show to anyone. Does MultiVAC's consensus mechanism work in a similar way to Algorand's? So as much as I'd like to dive in a little bit deeper and discuss these questions with you, I'm unable to do so because the admin didn't answer them for me. And the 5th and final concern I had with the MultiVAC ICO is really how it compares to the competition. That's all these guys here, and maybe Ethereum, Neo, EOS, and some of the other blockchain ICO niche projects that are currently trading on the markets. You see, flexibility in shard selection for dApp developers is a novel idea. However, MultiVAC's go-to market strategy does not distinguish itself from the likes of Zilliqa, Emotique, or QuarkChain. Inexperienced investors cannot discern between partition balance, shard selection, or UTXO accounting. Investors who do not understand the MultiVAC algorithm are more likely to panic sell at the first sign of volatility, not because they're irrational, but because they don't have enough belief or conviction in their investment. So what I'm really trying to say is this: don't buy into an ICO on the belief that you're using greater fool theory and you can just dump the tokens on everyone else. MultiVAC as an investment looks very promising, although I don't know what the token economics are. But if you're going to be a speculator, you need to have conviction in what you're investing in. Otherwise, you're going to panic sell. It's very important you understand that. The sooner you understand that, the sooner you're going to save yourself a lot of money and a lot of psychological turmoil. I'm just trying to teach you from my own experiences. I don't want you to have to learn the hard and expensive way. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you join my Telegram group and also my spreadsheet. I'll put the links down below in the description. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button, because investing in ICOs is time critical, and it would be such a shame for you to watch all my content only for you to miss out on all my other ICO videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.